Yo. And we're live. Thank you so much for joining us. You've joined us on the Mindset Delirium here on YouTube. This is kind of an impromptu live stream. We just came from Periscope. We tested out Periscope, and we thought,
Yeah.
what the hell? Let's get over to YouTube. I'm on with Mindset alum and good pal, Mr. Justin Villareal. Hello, Justin.
Hello and good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Not too bad. Enjoying our little impromptu session here.
Absolutely. I'm a copy with you. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I want them answered immediately.
I'll do my
What, what's
best.
the
I won't
what's
say
the movie?
anything.
What's the movie? Come on.
The Predator.
Nah, Kindergarten Cop, dude.
Of
You remember?
course.
A copy
Of
with
course,
you.
it's Kindergarten Cop. And did we need a second Kindergarten Cop with Dolph Lundgren? I
Was
highly
was
doubt.
was there another one? There was.
Yes, there was. Dolph Lundgren was it,
You're kidding.
and it was practically the same movie.
There was
That's
another
all it
one.
was.
What the hell?
That's what I love.
Let's see.
Uh,
So let's pull up. I don't know. Do you have the YouTube thing in front of you? I want to see
yes,
who's
and
watching. If anyone.
we already got a watcher because
Oh, the
YouTube
watcher.
doesn't count me as a
The
watcher.
watcher is watching. Who could it be?
One watching
Let's see here. I'm gonna pull it up on my iPad.
over
Let's have a
here
look.
because I can get lined up. I love the iPad.
One person watching.
Yes,
Who
not too bad. Just quick.
who watches the watchers, ladies and gentlemen? That's the question. So the reason that Justin and I are here this evening on Mindset Delirium is we just got off a 2 hour live broadcast slash podcast with Nocturnal Frequency, and we had such a good time. We thought, well, why do we need to end now? So
Exactly.
we went over to Periscope. I wanted to check that out, so we broadcast over Periscope for a little while, and then we thought, you know what, why are we playing in the kids pool? Let's go to the full on grown up pool, which is the YouTube, and here we are, and that's it. What do you think, Justin?
I think it's nice. YouTube has always been great. There we go. We got two watching now.
There we go. Two
That's
people.
great.
Two
Yeah,
people.
we were talking quite a bit of things, and then we got a little bit into tarot. I don't know if any of you listeners out there get into tarot at all, or any other divination type of things. But
Divination. That's it. So what do you think divination is real, or you think it's all in your mind? What's your
yeah,
take?
the easiest way I can explain it, personally, of course, because I can't speak for everyone else. I believe all it is just a medium for something that's already innate in us. So, kind of like how symbolism, allegory symbolisms make it easier to tell a story or get a point across. We use physical mediums to do the same thing in that sense. So, me using tarot or pendulum or scrying mirror, stuff like that, is really just me using something to kind of project my own intuition on, or our intuition on. And it's, again, that's at least what I consider it, because there's no real explanation for what cardboard cards are going to do, and what an atheist mineral going to do as a pendulum, or a painted black mirror. There's no real magic power to that. That's just the honest truth. There's all you're doing is visualizing, in a sense, and kind of taking over, letting this medium take over a little part of yourself, and that's the easiest without getting into the old woo-ha with everything. To me, there's no magic to it other than what's already mysterious about our own nature.
But when you have you're laying out the cards, right? You
Yes.
shuffle the deck, and then you're laying out the cards. What do you use? The Celtic cross. What do you use?
So yes, I do. I've done the Celtic cross spread. My favorite, because it's the easiest, is the three card spread, which you
Hmm.
just go with past, present, future. But my latest is using Aleister Crowley's
The
thought.
Thoth. The
Yes, which
Thoth
is
deck.
a
Yes,
great tarot.
I have that deck.
Yeah, it's great. The art's great. The explanation, I think, his overall application of it is
Uh-huh.
spot on. It's supposed to kind of implement a lot of different things into what Tarot's about.
Right.
So I think it does it perfectly. And just overall, I think I just like the way it feels. Though every time I've looked for this deck, because sometimes it's hard to find. You can get
Yeah.
it online. It's not hard to find
Well,
online,
I
but
I
at store.
I, I bought mine back in like the early '90s, like
Yeah,
years ago,
yeah.
the early to mid '90s. I bought mine, the Thoth deck, and I didn't buy it because I was like into tarot or anything like that. I just bought it because it looked cool.
It is. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. Um,
It is one of the cooler decks when it comes to tarot. I'm not
but
into
when
the.
you're laying out the cards, when so shuffle the cards and you start laying them
Yeah.
out, and you're working with someone face to face or whatever the case may be,
Yes.
what's your innate feeling? What do you feel when you're like flipping them out and judging? I mean, are you going purely by intuition, or are you judging
Yes.
their body
Oh,
movements? Their how are you getting the information? Is what I'm getting at.
uh, obviously to start off, I have to be the best I can in a clear headspace. So you got to add that into effect, which opens up, that feeling that you're talking about. But really, when I'm dishing out the cards, I may shuffle a deck for like 30 seconds. I may shuffle it for 15 seconds. It all depends, like you said, to this feeling. But the feeling that I get, it's hard to pinpoint, but sometimes it's the randomness of what happens with the me shuffling with the deck. So sometimes when I shuffle, a card might pop out, and that may start my reading.
Uh
So
huh.
I'm not even picking the card. Sometimes I'm literally a card pops out because of my mishandling as I'm going, and that will start the reading. So then I'm like, this is the card, which is kind of superstitious in a way, but that's how I started. Because one, it gives more of that random effect to it than me pulling a card from the top. Because I mean, ideally, not ideally, but in a way, you can rig a deck. Like you can't. I mean, if you play poker in some sense,
Yeah,
you
but
can't
if
deck. You know.
if you were to do that, it's like, well, if you're doing it for divination, it's like, what's the point of rigging the deck? It's like
Well, there's
unless you're intent on giving the person bad or good news for whatever nefarious purpose, right?
It's well, the purpose nefarious, I guess, would be questionable, but it would be to make money. I'm not. Yes, people have donated to me. And of course I have a PayPal, so please be anonymous. Gmail.com. You can donate to my.
Justin, what's your PayPal if people want to send you some of their hard earned money? What do they do? What's your PayPal?
Too, the Australia Network. That could
There
be.
you go.
But yeah, I don't. I trust me. I don't do this for the money. So it's more of a hobby and interest. Not necessarily a hobby, but it's kind of a personal interest and meditative type of experience. And I'm using it with people at the same time. But at the same time, it's helping people how they want to be helped. So I don't push like, hey, do you want to do a tarot reading or anything like that? Usually, people, if you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me on Snapchat, and if you follow me on Facebook, on those 24-hour story parts of those, or on Twitter, which is constant, I put my cards out. I do
Hmm.
sometimes a 3 day a 3 card reading or 1 card reading, and I'll throw it out there for the day. And some people will comment back and so on. If they comment to me saying, do you do personal readings? And I go, yeah, I may have some time. And usually, so I don't push it on anybody or anything like that. Usually people come to me, and then after that is when I have a few people who are kind of reoccurring. I have clients in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I would say that I have clients in a sense.
No, that's good. If you have people that they trust you and you regularly go and work through the cards with them, and they're getting something out of it, right?
Yes, it's yes,
They're really working through it. I mean, that's good, right? Because it's
yes,
helping them, it's helping you.
yes. It's
It's a mutually beneficial
yes.
experience, right?
Yeah, that's what I put onto it, because it is a form of, I guess therapy is just having an outlet. You want to have an outlet to speak. You want to have an outlet to create, or share. And this, in a sense, is an outlet for both. Like you said, person and I doing it. So it's really not in a sense to make money or do anything further than that, just to help people, and that's kind of how I got into it. Is Larry, and since I've been doing it, it's helped people.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it totally than what I explained earlier, but constantly do it. I have seen, some fruits of my labor because of repeatedly doing it on some sort of a regular basis, and it's something I would suggest other people to just dabble in. There's nothing bad about it. Like I said again, what's painted cardboard really going to do? There's nothing.
Have have you yourself ever gone through had a tarot reading done, by somebody else to
Yes.
to you? And
Yes.
what was the result of that? Was it like, what the hell are you talking about? Or, oh man, this person's nailing it. What was the deal with you?
No, it was a mixed bag. It's I was more skeptical of it in my younger years, in my young days.
Yeah.
I was more skeptical of it than I am now. So a lot of the people I ran into, because I essentially everything that I ever done in this manner essentially is the experiment of paranormal experiences, magical claims, etc. So the majority of people that I ran into, I would say, were charlatans. I mean,
Right.
that's almost it put a sour taste in my mouth
Uh
for the
huh.
most for getting involved in this for as long as I have. But because of doing it so long or trying it and experimenting with so many people for so long, yes, there are some where it's like they really hit things on the head with some inner turmoil that didn't pop up that I didn't mention or something like that. Sometimes some things pop out right automatically. So it's overall it's a mixed bag. It is a 50-50, to be honest, with
Right.
having the experiences about it on a personal level. But as me doing it to people, and I would say the tarot readings that I've done, I pay for them. $10, $20 tarot readings. So I mean, I invested at the local mall kiosk for the spiritual reader there. I've done that and gone to certain things to test them out. I remember doing a tarot reading and getting a reading. I forget the reading that they called it, but she was saying that after the reading, she was seeing my aura and that there was this blackness around me, and that I needed to pay this amount of money. So I ran
To clear the blackness.
yes, yes. So I ran
Yeah.
into that's one of many that I've run into over my years. So yeah, that's a lot. I got to admit, I can see why some people may get turned off by certain things because
Well,
that exists
yeah.
in anything.
I mean, if
Yeah.
they paint a picture that some real bad stuff is happening to you,
Yes.
but for X amount of dollars,
Yes.
they can clear it and make all things right. That's kind of a red flag that they're full of shit.
Yep.
But by the same token, though, Justin, a lot of people would fall for that.
Yeah.
A lot of people
I
will be like, "Oh yeah, here's my money. Please help me."
I talked with a close friend of mine, and well, I should I'll keep it like this. Mutual friends. I found out they were having some issues, and I tend to be as crazy as I am. If people listen to me and follow me on the social networks about this, and maybe get into some of my points of view, but a lot of people, I spend a lot of my days answering questions, believe it or not, from Facebook to Instagram, wherever,
Yeah, yeah.
Snapchat,
Hmm.
and it's for different things, regular stuff to conspiracies to paranormal, personal things going on in people's lives. So, in a weird way, although I've never studied any real psychology other than going to college for a few semesters in high school,
Right.
that's all I get. But I as someone who's a armchair counselor, I guess I would consider that. So a lot of people come to me for help, I guess,
Hmm.
so it's already built into me to, do tarot and, certain things like that. In that sense, there was a point I was making with that overall. But I do have a lot of people that come to me, and I spend a lot of time trying to, help people in that sense. So I get, people reoccurring. So long story short, on that, they came to me about. There's my point. They came to me about some personal issues, and they wanted me to be a mediator. And I found out they spent. With some sort of new agey person, they spent thousands of dollars, thousands
Yeah,
of dollars.
yeah. So
I I was blown away by this. I couldn't believe this. Yeah.
what is the kind of going rate for a tarot reader or a psychic? I mean, I've never gone to a professional psychic or tarot reader or anything like that, so I am complete. I have no clue how much it would cost. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that here in LA we have there's all over the place. There's these buildings.
Yeah.
Psychic, come on in.
Yes.
If I were to walk into one of those places, what would I expect, and how much would I be expected to pay for a tarot or some psychic reading, or something like that? What do you
What
think?
the cheap end, you're looking at $10 to $20 for a 3 card reading. That might be just for like 15 minutes or less, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
They do it time wise, and they'll do it reading wise. It all depends. It's like getting paid per hour or per job in
Right.
a sense. Usually it's $10 to $20 on the cheap end for a 3 card reading for a low amount of time, probably basically $1 a minute in a sense. So you're looking at that. And then you can go into deeper readings with more cards, which cost, it's almost like another tier up, another $10, another $20. And that's cheap end. You can get tarot readings going up to 30, 40, $50 on some simple readings, as like another three, maybe 5 to 10 card spread for such a period of time. So you could be spending up to that. I've seen $100. And of course, that's not just for simple. That's like a 30-minute type of thing. 30 minutes in there going through all the cards. And they don't do it by spread. They do it by the cards. So you could sit there and literally keep pulling cards. And
That's not a bad gig, dude.
it's
$200 an
not.
hour
Seriously, I know people who do
for
it
just
for
flipping a
20 bucks.
card. I mean, that's like you're making serious money from just fucking around, right?
A reading when I'm into it and I'm doing so I do 3 cards and the 15 card thought, as we were talking about earlier. They can be up to about 20 minutes to about an hour. And I've been donated $20 for my time before. Usually it's I'm like, you can give me a couple of dollars. If you really want to give me money for it, just give me a couple of dollars. That people pay for lunch. They send me enough for lunch, like $10 for lunch. Um, they really do take up a time. So even if you're doing $20 an hour, at the very least, that's not bad. And if you got
Yeah,
5 in a day,
yeah.
yeah, you can be making
But
some decent money.
but isn't it a lot like getting a reputation though, right? Because if you do a reading with one person and you give them very accurate information,
Yeah,
and then they go and tell someone else, and then they tell someone, and oh, you got to go see this guy Justin.
yeah,
He's good. He
yeah,
told me this, and it was 100%. This guy is good. You got to go see him. And the next thing you know, you're getting like a name and a reputation, and
yeah.
people are lining up to see you, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of starting now, since I've been doing, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of have reoccurring clients, and they've told people, and yeah, it is that, and it's how you go about it. There's people out there kind of with the tarot reading that kind of feed you what you want, and with me at least, I give you options, I guess is the best way to explain it. So when I'm looking through the cards, it's kind of like, so this seems to be an issue you're having from the past, and if you don't do this, or if you're not open to this, or if you are, and so on, these are your possibilities. It's not like
Yeah.
a solid future
Right.
when you're looking at this, and that's the best way to even go about it. Because if you're definite in the future, you're a huckster, because there's
Well,
no
it's
definite.
it's it's what the Terminator always taught us, right? The future's unwritten.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
The future's unwritten. I mean, you can get glimpses of possible futures, but
Yes.
if you're aware of what's coming, you can work to change that because it hasn't
Exactly.
occurred yet, right?
Exactly, and that's kind of somewhat how we see time now.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and that's kind of based on how we do see time now. So yeah, you can change those things. There's no definites in it, and that's why, if you're doing it as a personal kind of meditative thing, it's good to not do it every day. It's good to do it maybe once a week. Just kind of, all right. Let's see what we kind of gain from this and whatnot. and go from there. And also you can see some of the outcomes through that, and the experiment wise, you want to span these types of things out to see what kind of correlates and whatnot too. But yeah, it's quite an experience overall with dealing with people on a personal level doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm hoping to once I get this whole Periscope and everything going and this video feed going. I was testing some things on another social networking app. There was a couple that I was using. One was Meet Me, I believe it was called, and they
Meet
have
Me. Meet Me. That's a gay dating app, right?
but you
sorry, I couldn't resist. I apologize.
well, you can. There's a community out there with that, but it is basically it's like a meetup app in a sense. So
Yeah.
you meet people. It's a social networking app,
So yeah.
and have video feeds which do almost the same thing as Periscope, and actually you can make money on it as well.
I was going to ask you about as far as tarot though. Have you ever done the tarot for yourself? Done the cards and read into it yourself,
Yes.
and have you noticed, has it been accurate or true, or is that even possible to run the tarot for yourself and get accurate information?
I would think that's a good way to put it right there. I'm glad you added that on there. I try not to. When I even do the daily readings, I try to focus on the month and the day and not try to do anything personal of my own self in it, because it's totally possible that you are projecting things, so it is better to get tarot readings from people you don't really know, or you not like a friend, that you see.
Would it be fair to say that the less you know about the person, the better?
Exactly. Yes. This is the best way to do it. This is what I do with paranormal claims as well. So although the people that I have done tarot with, I may have worked with or were, maybe related, you know what I'm saying, in some way, but we're not like in each other's lives where I know exactly everything that's going on with them.
Yeah.
Not like a close cousin or one of my best friends.
Right. They might be related to you in some way, but they're basically strangers. In other words, you don't know the ins and outs of their lives.
Correct.
You just kind of know them, but you don't really know them.
Exactly. And even in some things that I've done it, I've checked in on friends and stuff like that where I'll do a tarot, and some things do pop up, to the extent, because I'm not constantly doing it, as a reoccurring thing. But yeah, I do prefer not doing it to friends,
right.
Personal friends, and I try not to do it to myself because I kind of already know my own messes.
Well, isn't there like I hear what you're saying, but isn't there like an unconscious, right? The unconscious mind. The unconscious mind and the conscious mind, they're separated. So there's all this stuff going on in the unconscious mind that the conscious mind is unaware of.
Yes.
And because the tarot is random, you're shuffling the deck and you're randomly pulling these cards out. It's like a gateway to the unconscious.
Yeah.
It kind of taps into the unconscious mind. So following what I just said, wouldn't it be beneficial to kind of randomly pull cards and look into them? And wouldn't it give some kind of insight into the unconscious workings of who you are?
I think, I could say that. Yeah, I mean, of course, that yes. If you're unsure of yourself, yes, I'm sure of myself. That's to the extent that I don't need to have like a really personal insight.
Hey, kid, don't get cocky.
I was about to say that to myself.
Don't get cocky. Calm down.
Yeah, there's a certain extent to like how they say preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Isn't that the phrase you go? So the choir would be myself. It's like there's things I know in myself to be like, yeah, this is going to cause this issue. There's a possibility of this. So there won't. But yeah, if there was something that I was really stuck on, like I've used it in that sense to try to figure out certain things. And it does help in that sense, but I don't do it often. But I think if you were going to do that, shuffling the deck as much as possible to build up that probability of it, and I think when I've done it now, where the cards fall out because I'm shuffling it so much.
Yeah.
It's the best way because that builds up the probability of that. So if you're going to tap into that, that would be the best bet instead of just like pulling out the deck and just kind of going, or whatnot, because that the whole aspect of it is the probability part of how these relate to yourself.
Isn't it weird though, Justin, that a lot of these divination techniques involve some kind of random,
Yes.
very random kind of methodology.
Yes.
Like just like with you with throwing up sticks or bones. You throw them up in the air, and depending on the pattern, which way they land on the ground,
Yes.
this random pattern,
Almost like teacher reading. Yeah.
it means something, right? And
Yes.
pulling random cards out of the pack, there's no method to it. It's just completely random. It means something. It's like
Yes.
It's like it's tapping into away from the order and the randomness of reality. It's like you're fucking with the matrix in some way.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Kind of like when we talked about the random knot type of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it is because that's the part of it is we're so ourselves used to the order, and in the sense of doing stuff like this, if it does align with something, it's coming from a random source.
Right.
So it almost solidifies what you're getting from it, and I think that's why people do tend towards these things because of that probability of it. Because yeah, you can set the cards like you can set the cards up. I've done it to an extent when I was just kind of putting the cards together, and I didn't mix them well. And I noticed the cards I put in a certain area popped up when I was doing the shuffling, and I was like, I didn't shuffle well because I know these cards were in this part of the stack. When I play Magic, the Gathering, which is a nerdy game,
Whoa! You play Magic? What are you? Half a retard? What's wrong with you? Magic the Gathering? What are you, 8?
I'll be honest with you. I'm very retarded.
I'm joking.
It's in order to get the cards I want to play to hopefully play, I can literally set the cards up and still shuffle and kind of get what I want. It's a strategy in a sense,
right?
So it can be done. So if you so every time I do this here for the random part of it, I literally take all the cards out and I put them on in a row, one by one, in each separate rows, 4 rows or whatever, and that's how I shuffle them first. And then as soon as I put them all in their different rows, I put it all together, and it's not like a row right after. It's like they're kind of adjacent in a sense, so they're not like a card right after each other. Where if you took the card out, you're just basically flipping the pile over in a sense, kind of upside down. So in this sense, they're all random.
What other kind of I know you do the tarot. What other kind of divination do you do? Is there any other things that work that really kind of
scrying, which
scrying,
is really,
that's like crystal ball stuff, right?
Kind of, yes. So you can do scrying with anything. It's literally just daydreaming. It's kind of having a meditative state. Why they use crystal balls and black mirrors, which I use a black mirror every now and then. It creates that blank space for you to kind of to go into that meditative state. That's really all it is. So I can literally look at the drywall back here and do scrying, in its own way. Or you could use certain things as tea tree, which is like scrying, and they're using the way the foam is or the way the leaves and the tea kind of go. That also be scrying.
But what are you seeing though when you stare into a black mirror, or you stare into a crystal ball or some reflective surface? I know that back in the day they would look into like a lake or a stream for some kind of reflection.
It's
When,
the it's
but
the
when you're staring into it, when you're really looking deep into what do you what's the mo? What's happening in your brain when you're staring at this thing?
the easiest way to explain it, it's the part of where you're daydreaming. Except for if you're being in if you have your not content, but if your motive is to get something out of what you're doing, you're putting yourself in a state of mind in the first place. So before any of this, you're already doing a meditative state where you're clearing your mind and you're focusing on whatever that question or whatever you're trying to scry for. And as long as that is clear, whatever images you're getting, which is not really being projected on the drywall or the
Uh-huh.
black mirror or anything, it's in your head. That's the clearest area. So if it's related to your thoughts or related to your question, then that's what you're getting. That's what you're trying to eliminate all the other interference that it will only align with that. So it's really kind of subjective in that sense, especially if you're doing it for yourself. If you're doing it for someone else, like tarot, in a sense, you can kind of have something to validate that, as we were talking about before, where it might be hard to do a tarot reading because you just might be projecting certain things. But essentially, you're just daydreaming. You're literally hard daydreaming where you're vividly seeing these types of things. Like when you're driving
Yeah.
and space out and you pass like three exits, little, even
Uh-huh.
though
Uh-huh.
you were looking, you were there, but you weren't looking. You
You're
weren't. You were
someplace else. Yeah.
yes.
Your mind
That's
your
place
mind was
else.
somewhere else, and that happens a lot to me.
Yes, that's meditation.
Unfortunately, is
That's really meditation right there.
where
We just don't
you kind of drift. You kind of
almost be yes.
we have Evil Earl just posted. He said, "How much did I miss? I don't know how long have we been talking, Justin? I'm not
Uh,
exactly sure."
I would
Um,
almost say we've been talking for at least 45 minutes now.
yeah, so you've missed about 45 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
YouTube,
well,
last 20 something minutes,
something like that.
maybe.
We've been talking basically about divination and
Yes.
tarot. And is it possible to see into the future in some way? Now, here's a question for you, Justin. This is something
Yeah.
to kind of, because I know that you've been doing this for many years. Is getting a glimpse of the future. If you can kind of predict and get some, even if the prediction is vague, even if you're looking into someone's future and it's a vague outline of what may be,
Hmm.
um, doesn't that kind of say that the future in some way exists?
Of
That
course.
there is something there?
Yes.
And
Of course.
how does, like, when you look into the past? Well, that's done. It's
Yeah.
that's rock solid, right? It's a solid fact. Been there, done that, moved on. But when you look
Wow.
into the future and you see something that's going to happen,
Yeah.
is it malleable, or is it kind of, this is happening? That's it.
I would say it's both, because if we apply the multiverse, okay, the multiverse is not necessarily saying that there's different worlds out there. They're saying that's like every possibility is out there. So the future where you went left does still exist, but there's still also that possibility for the future of you going right or going straight or backtracking,
Yeah.
and they all exist. So really, it's whatever you're doing now in the present that's gonna obviously dictate those particular things. Yet they still happen uh, somewhere else, of course. So it doesn't necessarily not happen. It's just not happening in your current space, in your current time, in your current timeline. You haven't changed the timeline yet, so it's happening right now. And then, of course, I'm not some theoretical physicist or anything like that, but that's the
Wait,
best
wait,
way I
wait,
can.
wait, 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 wait. You're not? Oh,
No,
well, then we have to end this show right now. I mean, I brought you on here in the proviso that you were a theoretical physicist. What the hell? Come on.
Sure, yes. I went to a couple conferences. We were in the alleyway once. I know, but yeah, that's the best way I understand it. Is that it doesn't. It's just what's happening now is either going to align with that. What I was about to say with that possible past, because I do believe there's possible pasts as well that
Okay, you
exist.
got you. I got to ask you about this. Then, what do you mean? What do you mean about possible past? The past is done. You know
Uh,
what I did yesterday, right? Yesterday's gone. It's finished. It's over.
that
I mean,
timeline.
what I ate for lunch yesterday, where I went, where I drove my car, what book I read, what TV show I watched, it's it's done, right? I mean, it stops being speculation and becomes fact. It
Well,
happened, right?
for
Right?
this, yeah, for this timeline, yes. But again, with the idea of the multiverse, with the dimensions, and that there's still possibilities of what you could have done in that
So
past.
so you're saying that like yesterday when I drove my car and I turned left, in the mere fact of me turning left means that in another reality somewhere
You turned right.
I turned right or I kept
Yeah,
going straight.
and that past exists. Yes, and that
So
created its
so
own
for
timeline.
so so for every decision that I make in my life,
Yes.
I want to go here. It's like it fractures
Yeah.
into multiple different
Yes.
possible alternatives.
Yes, this is why that theory I was talking about earlier about seeing the lampshade, the lamp move, or maybe in Steve's case the door opening, or in
Yeah.
my case the pot thing.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
there was a future or a past, because who knows, exactly where it initiated, that it vibrated or it opened or something, and for whatever reason, of course, because this is the paranormal, we can't, there's it just got aligned up with our current moment, and that past or that present existed. Because again, possible past doesn't also, it doesn't just mean us. The possible past also means the layers of past that we have,
Yeah.
because why the possible past that we see now with hauntings is only within, let's say, let's just 400 years. Okay, we still have a possible past of dinosaurs. We still have a possible past of Neanderthals
Uh
that we
huh.
don't pick up at all. Those are all possible pasts that
Well,
existed before.
well,
And in the context of, let's say,
but but
ghost types of
but
stuff.
you're saying those are possible. I mean, that brings up an interesting point in regard to hauntings.
Hmm.
It's as if a haunting or a spiritual infestation of a location has a finite lifespan, right?
It's a good, yes,
Right.
yes,
So the lifespan of the haunting in like a house or a location or whatever, it can only exist for a certain amount of time before it fades and diminishes and goes away,
yes,
which would explain that why we don't see ghosts of cavemen,
correct.
right? Or we don't see ghosts of dinosaurs.
Yes,
We only the time span of the haunting will fade and diminish as time marches on. But
yeah, because we should see Jesus' Holy Ghost. I'm sorry, people.
yeah, I mean, assuming that Jesus existed, then yeah,
Yeah,
we should see
of
it.
course. This
Evil Earl in the chat room says, if you figure out how to get me back to 1982, let me know.
I was just born in '82.
So I mean, why would he want to go back to 1982? Evil Earl, if you're still watching, what's the
That's
significance of
Ghostbusters came out.
1980? No, that was 84.
Was you're right. And
That
then
was
'88
80.
was the second movie. Then yeah,
Yeah, with Vigo.
yes, yeah.
Vigo. Yeah, with
The
Vigo.
Carpathian.
The barbarian. Was he the barbarian? Vigo the
Carpathian.
Carpathian.
Which I forget what a Carpathian is.
Well, he's from Carpathia.
That's right. Yes, yeah.
The Carpathian Mountains. That's where Dracula was from.
Maybe
In
it's
Transylvania.
Pac-Man. Maybe he wants to get back to playing Pac-Man.
Maybe, yeah, around 81, 82. Well, 81, I think, was when Pac-Man came out. 80 or 81, Pac-Man
Yeah, somewhere,
came
yeah,
out.
somewhere around there.
Something like that. Early 80s was Pac-Man.
But it's
Uh-huh.
possible, the same way we experienced that daydream, in a sense, for him to live back in 1982 by by just meditating almost.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, in the past, you think about like friends, family, loved ones that are no longer with us, right? And you always
Yeah,
think, well, wouldn't it be amazing if I could go back
yeah,
and see them and hang out with people that you've either loved or respected, and now they're gone, and you miss them. And wouldn't it be amazing to go back through time and just like see them again, or hang out with them, even from a
yeah.
distance? You maybe you'd hang out across the street and just look at them at a distance, and say, "Hey, look, there they are. They're that kind of feeling." Evil Earl just says that he traced. He says, "I traced all of my problems, but back to a bad decision in 1982 or 1983."
But you gotta get that year right, because we can't be
Yeah, you
going
gotta
back in
get it
time to the
right.
wrong years.
It sounds like a Travis song. What was that one? Why does it always rain on me? Is it because I lied when I was 17? Remember that song in the 90s, Travis? I don't know. Why does it all rain on me? But yeah, 82, 83. I mean, what happened? I don't know what happened, Evil Old. Can you tell us, or is it too personal? Is it too devastating to even discuss in a public forum? It might be. I mean, I understand if you can't blab it to the world. I get it. But yeah, it's very attractive that the whole idea of time travel, to go back
Yeah,
and witness historical events, or hang out with loved ones that are no longer around. It's a very attractive proposition.
yeah, yeah.
But of course, it's nothing but pure fantasy. It could never ever happen, right? Right?
Not yet, not yet.
Well, what do you mean? Not yet. What would it take to make this stuff happen?
We would have to. Well, we would have to build a time machine.
Marty.
First we had to build a time machine, because as far as I understand, in order to even realistically time travel, we would have to have the first time machine built at some point,
Uh-huh.
so we can make that trace back to whatever point that is. Otherwise, the easiest way is somehow tapping into the multiverse and almost channeling into that time and that era
See,
in some weird way.
when we talk about like the multiverse, I
Yes.
mean, as attractive and as wonderful as it sounds, it's, let's be honest, it's nothing but pure speculation,
Of course, yeah, it's all theory.
right?
It is.
It's complete make believe, right? It's all we're playing pretend, right?
Yes.
It doesn't
Scientific
Yeah,
pretend.
it's just we're all just like speculating. There's nothing real about the multiverse, as far as we know, right?
Yes.
There's no concrete. It's all theory and speculation, but it is so it's a wonderful theory. But whether or not it's true, I mean, who knows? Evil Old came back and said, "Nah, I'd rather not." Understandable. You'd rather
It's all right.
rather not go there and spill your guts publicly. But 82 or 83, yeah, yeah. It's time is it's a very strange thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird when you look at the 1990s, right?
Wearing my multicolored clothes, vibrant colors.
Well,
I remember that.
the 1990s to me just seems like last week,
Yeah, I agree.
but
I agree.
it's 20 years ago.
Garrett, sometimes I don't even realize I'm 37. I
Do you
feel
know?
like I just graduated high school
Do you know
and
what I
did a few
mean, though?
jobs, and here I am.
It's
Yeah.
it's bizarre, man. It's absolutely bizarre. I mean, the 90s seems like just like the other day, but it was
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
1990, 20 years ago.
Yep.
I remember 1999 thinking, "Oh my God, it's going to be the year 2000. It's going to be the 21st century." And I remember as a kid thinking, "Wow, by the year 2000, we'll be living on the fucking moon."
Yeah. Yeah.
You
We're
know?
just a few, maybe 50 years off from that.
But it's like it's so weird. Time is it's very strange. What I have learned is as I've got older, and as when I was a lot younger, I had no clue about, was that your mind, or maybe the soul,
Yeah.
does not age.
No.
Only your body ages,
Of course.
right? But your mind, and that's even more devastating, because think about this, and I've thought about this a lot, and it's a truly horrific thought. Is, when you're out and about living your life, you could be walking your dog or walking through the park or doing whatever, and you see an old man on a walking stick, or one of those walkers,
Yeah.
and this old shriveled, he's a hunchback, his back is all jacked up, and he's struggling to walk, but up here,
Yeah.
he's 25.
Yeah.
Isn't that horrific? Isn't that horrible?
Yeah. It's
Isn't
yeah.
that's very disturbing.
I feel that now sometimes. I'm like, I want to drink all these beers, and I can't do that anymore. The body just don't like it like it used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just overall, I sometimes I'm just like, man, I remember just playing freaking Silent Hill in my house as a teenager in the attic after school, and literally here I am. And every once in a while I relive those things. But yeah, I feel that now. So I can only imagine being 80 years old and just like being stuck. Well, I guess it's not stuck. You're more understanding by then,
you're stuck. I mean, look at it this way, Justin. The way you feel now, as a person, the exact way that your thoughts, your persona, everything, right? You feel like that right now.
Yeah.
But your body is old and fucked
Yes.
up. But in your head, you're the same dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not cool, man. It's fucked
So-
up.
We gotta get to someone on this. We gotta.
It's not cool. Think about it. It's horrible.
It's not. It's not. It is
It's
a weird.
horrible, right?
It's like a torture.
Yeah, right. You're
It's
you're
like a
all
torture.
jacked up, and you got arthritis. You can't
Yeah.
walk, and you're in pain. You're taking 50 pills a day, and all this fucked up shit. But up here,
You're free.
you're the same dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Still thinking about being Spider-Man.
Peter
When
Parker.
am I gonna fit in those tights?
Parker,
Jameson in the
give me
background.
pictures of Spider-Man. I want pictures of Spider-Man.
These aren't good.
What is this? This is garbage. Get out of here. Meanwhile, it's going to be on the front page tomorrow. Crazy.
That's how you make money.
Let's see. Evil Earl says the older you get, the faster time passes.
That's the way it seems.
That's very true. Very true, because you've experienced more of life. He thinks about that a lot, and I think he also said it's horrifying.
Yeah.
So I think we're on the same page here, right? Where your mind or your soul or whatever you want to call it remains who you are, your personality, right? You're still young in your head, but your body just is all jacked up and fucking disturbing. It's horrifying. And you don't really realize these things until you get older yourself. When you're 15 years old and you look at an old man, you're like, hey, look at that old man. Hey,
Yeah.
look at that stupid old man. Ha ha ha. Right? Because you don't
You kick them.
yeah, ha, ha, ha. Fuck you, old man. Ha, ha, ha. Right?
Hands on the ground.
Because you don't get it. Right?
Yeah.
Because you have no experience to understand what that old guy's going through. Right?
Yeah.
The fact that in his head he's a young man. In his body, he's an old man.
And that's the way it is now.
And you know what the most disturbing thing about all this is, Justin?
What's that?
The most fucked up thing about all of this? It's going to happen to all of us. We're all rapidly marching towards that time.
I know.
I
know.
It's going to happen, dude. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I already know.
It's going to be jacked up. Unless you're lucky enough to die young.
Or science figures
Right?
some
If
stuff
you
out.
die young, if you get to your 30s and your 40s and you get hit by a bus or you have a massive heart attack, then you're off the hook. But if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, that's fucked up, dude.
I kind of think I would be down, like, if it's like, if I really got nothing going on, let's say my grandkids are like, they're all old enough and everything, and I'm really just frail. It's like, you know what? Why not just end it now at, like, 70 or what? Well, I guess 70 ain't that bad. I've seen 70-year-olds. They're not totally that bad, but
Uh-huh.
if it's really that bad, I think, why not? Why not just fuck it, end it? It's my choice. I'm just
Game over, man.
prolonging. Yeah,
Game
I mean, what?
over.
Unless I get to see the world and travel in space by that time, sure, I'll live. But if it's like, I'm just going to go to the grocery store on Tuesday again, I'll be like, all right, I'm kind of through with all. I'm kind of through with all this.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant thought, but it's something
Yeah,
that's going to happen
of course.
to every man and woman on the planet, right? Regardless of how much you don't want it to happen,
Yeah, I
it's
worry
going to
about my.
happen.
Yeah, these working fingers of mine, they're not going to last as long as they used to, and I
Yeah.
feel it now as it
Hmm.
is. Screwing in little parts and even writing notes sometimes. Just
Yeah.
sometimes just hours of writing notes for certain things. It's just not hours, but going down trying to do some pricing and
Hmm.
whatnot. It takes some time. But yeah, I feel it now, and I worry. I worry about when these knees are gonna pop out finally, and I got to get the knee replacement.
Yep. Yep.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
we're cursed, man. We're absolutely cursed. What does
They'll
he say? He says
discover.
they'll
Yeah.
discover FTL travel the day I die, the day after I die, the day. Yeah, you'll drop dead the next day. Like, okay, we've discovered, we're good, we got it.
Finally, yeah.
The
Yeah.
the, the next day, you know.
Like The Mist, the movie The Mist. I don't know if you ever
Oh
saw
my
the.
god, dude.
Well, the both versions are great, but the most recent one with
Well,
the ending with.
the movie
Yes, the movie.
the movie was phenomenal.
Yes,
But the
yes,
ending was
yes.
fucking devastating.
That's how that is.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! I mean, I don't want to spoil it for people
No,
who
it's a
are
good ending.
watching.
Check that out for sure.
If for people watching right now, if you've not seen the movie The Mist, I strongly recommend you check it out. And the ending, all I can say about the ending is
Yeah,
get
yeah.
ready because it's fucked up.
It's somewhat related to what we're talking about right now.
The ending is brutal.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that movie. Right, I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm engrossed. Right, I'm
Good
hooked.
movie.
I'm hooked.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm hanging on their every word, watching
yeah,
every scene. I'm like, oh my, is them. And the end when the ending happened, I felt like someone had ripped my fucking guts out.
yeah, yeah.
I felt,
Yeah,
oh my, are you kidding me?
yeah, because
Oh, it
it's
was so horrific.
the characters, everything about that movie
Yeah,
is it's
great,
great.
great
It,
movie.
it I think that's what I fear the most. I think the one thing to give away about that movie is they deal eventually with religious fanatics,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
I think I worry about that the most. Let's say in the sense, let's say COVID, the quarantine was worse, and you let the religious fanatics out.
Oh yeah, dude.
It would get scary.
Oh,
It would literally
absolutely. Dude,
get scary.
people who are devoutly religious,
Yes.
who like who people who are, they're not giving it lip service, right? And I think the majority of people who claim to be religious are give because religion is cultural, right?
Yeah.
It's a part of your culture. And even though you deep down inside, yeah, I know it's bullshit. I know it's a bunch of nonsense, but
Yeah.
it's part of my culture.
Yeah.
I love and respect my culture.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm going to go through the motions.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it,
Sunday.
even though in
Yeah.
the back of my head I know it's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it because it's part of my culture, and I love my culture. It's a rich culture, hundreds of years old, and and I'm into it,
Yeah.
even though I know it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I totally get that, right? But there's a percentage of people who not only belief is not strong enough. It's real.
Yeah.
When they crack open the Bible or the Quran or
Yeah.
insert religious text here, what they're reading is verbatim. It's
Yeah.
fucking legit, 100%. The shit It happened.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, no buts. This is like, boom. Those are the motherfuckers you got to be scared about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the people you got to be very, very wary of. Because you get enough of those people in one spot, and they will They will fuck shit up like you will not believe.
And very fast.
Oh,
very
incredibly fast. It's like a virus.
Yeah, there's
common sense, logic, and rational thought. Bye. See ya. Bye, rational thought. Bye, logic. Later. Bye.
It's weird.
Bye. It's fucking gone.
It's weird.
Gone like that.
I mean, look at not to bring total politics in this, but look at our current president and the religious fanaticism surrounding that, and that's not necessarily a horrible scale to things, but people will do and go this far for their figures, for their figureheads, for all sorts of things, and some will cross that line. We see it the worst in our fanaticism now, but in this case of the mist, where just shit goes crazy, and all you're left is literally two sides of people, the religious people, and just like we're just trying to get by people. And I fear the word. That's what I fear, is being in a small town or in a small neighborhood, and everyone's like, it's the end times, and you got some weird.
Can you imagine that? You're
oh god, small town would be worse.
You're in some small town somewhere.
Yes.
And the entire town comes out and says, we're all going to church to pray. And you're like, oh, okay, I see you guys later.
Oh, you're coming.
Dude, your house is getting burnt down later tonight.
There's I mean, I'm sure it's everywhere in the world, but in America we have small towns run by the church. It's ridiculous. Everything goes through the pastor, from the mayor to the pastor knows. It's scary. It's a small. I forget what town that we were thinking of, but it was scary. One guy, he was talking about he was gay and he didn't want to come out, and he goes, if I came out, the whole town would they would literally excommunicate him. He would be banned from the town. And I'm like, imagine a town having that much power, to do that, and that's happening now here in America somewhere. It's scary.
It is. Really is. And the way that the mist plays out the whole religious aspect, it's accurate. It's accurate to see how that shit would play out, where people, because when you're faced with something unknown and you don't have answers, then religion kind of just swoops in, and it's God's will.
Yeah.
It's what's that, Lord? What's that?
Yeah.
Oh,
you're a sinner. This is why.
He just told me to kill you.
Yeah.
And and people get wrapped up. It's very, very disturbing, but it's a part of the human condition. Religion is part of being human.
I've grown much into it, and I've had friends who were grown in the church. And they acting out, whatever that means, and the parents who were devout themselves, they took them to the church to get like they thought it was an exorcism, and they thought this was the therapy. And this is here in modern, it's like he's not listening to this pastor, and they think they need to perform an exorcism on this, teenager.
Yeah,
who's just
it's what's weird, dude, is like whenever I hear the word pastor or somebody who claims to be a pastor, I immediately think that they're a mental case. Immediately,
of course, especially when
somebody says I'm a pastor, in my head I immediately think this guy's out to lunch.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah. There's a certain aspect to that I agree to. I'm sure, like everything else, there's people out there willing to help. I've had pastors who are open to conversation and who are not so judgmental. But the majority of my religious experiences
what should be is when you go into Google and you type in pastor and you look for the translation, it should say like someone who is fucked up in the head.
Or tacos, al pastor.
Oh, now you're talking.
That's the only place.
Now you're talking. Yeah. Hey, you have El Pollo Loco in Chicago?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
dude. Do you
I
like
just
the
had tacos today, actually,
you
but
like
not
the
from El
burrito? Do
Pollo.
you like the burritos from El Pollo Loco?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, dude, phenomenal.
We,
Oh,
well, of
here's
course,
something I should ask you, because you're not in. Have you ever had a California burrito?
no, that doesn't, nothing familiar. This is-
Oh my God, dude. So, okay. Let me go through this, and I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave you up on the window here because I want to see your mouth watering. So, it's a burrito, right? With
Yeah,
carne asada, you
okay, I
know,
like that.
um, sour cream, guacamole, salsa, all that stuff,
Yes.
right? Normal burrito shit, right?
Yes,
But here's the greatest ingredient ever for a
it
California
was
burrito.
straightforward on top of it.
You ready?
Go ahead.
French fries.
Oh, wow. That, that could be tasty. Literally.
Right? Think about this, right? Carne
Yeah.
asada, fucking, sour cream, guacamole, salsa, all that shit, and a fucking grip of French fries in a tortilla.
That sounds
That's
delicious.
that's a California burrito right there.
All right, I might have to make one for myself.
It's phenomenal, dude. And
I'm sold into French fries.
at Pollo Loco, they just started selling California burritos. And pollo, but it's not carne asada. It's chicken, instead of the beef. But
Which is good.
it's delicious.
Yes.
I had one the other day. It was great.
I actually I judge taco places based on their chicken. If their
Okay.
chicken tacos are good,
Uh-huh.
then the rest of their menu is going to be
You're good. Yeah.
Most likely. Of course, I've been to places where certain
Right.
things are better than other things, but
Sure. Sure.
yeah, if I could have good chicken tacos, because there's just
You're good.
something with steak, stuff like that. For me, it's like it's kind of a given how you can season it, and it's just gonna be
Right.
good. But with chicken, there's just like a certain way it's cooked,
Yeah.
or a certain way it gives that
Uh-huh.
taste. If I get that,
Do you guys do you have Chipotle in Chicago?
of course,
What's your take on Chipotle?
I enjoy it, but I mean if I want I get a burrito from there,
Uh-huh.
it's gonna fill me up, and I can
Right.
eat it for
Right.
later. But I prefer the local mom and pop.
Right. No, of
Mexican.
course, 100%. Yeah. No,
Yes.
I agree with you totally.
Yes,
Um, I
but it's
like.
good.
Welcome to the fast food show, folks. Um, so I like Chipotle, right? But it's a fucking grip of a burrito. It's a massive burrito.
It's
When
worth the
when you eat from a burrito from Chipotle, you're done for the day, dude.
And you get beer from certain Chipotles now.
Yeah, right. But a lot of people I know, a lot of friends I have, they don't like Chipotle, and I'm like, why? It's great, and they're like, dude, a cold burrito ain't right.
Well, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I guess I like it though.
No, me too. Me too. Yeah, you get an argument from me, but
Yeah.
but certain people I know, they're like, nah, dude, you can't have a fucking cold burrito. Because
It wasn't-
because when they make the burrito in Chipotle, the meat is warm, right, and the rice is warm, and the bean. But once they put like all the salsa and all, it's freezing cold.
You just
And,
got
by, and then by the time you take it home, you take a bite. It's one bite, it's cold. The next bite, it's warm. Another bite, it's cold. Right? Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So-
no, that's true.
So it's like you can't have a cold burrito.
I don't care.
No, hey, no me. I'll fucking eat it. I don't give a shit.
I'll eat potato chip from the ground. I'm a horrible. We're in the park, right? And I'm the type of person who sees food, and if it's literally almost a bag of potato chips laying on the ground, I feel bad. Like, why? How could they
Throw
do
that
this?
away. What are they doing?
Yeah, and as long as it doesn't look like it's been crapped on or stepped on,
You're good to go.
I'll eat the goddamn
Yeah.
potato chip out the goddamn ground. I would.
I
I've eaten
remember-
dumpster burgers, no problem.
I
I'll eat
remember
potato chips out.
When I was a kid, I always remember this. It's like stuff would fall on the floor, and I'd be like, "Oh, you can't eat it." It's on the floor. And I always remember a friend of mine. He said, and he picked it up, he picked it, and he ate it, and he said, "Dude, dogs eat from the floor every 2 seconds. They don't get sick. What the fuck is wrong with you?" Do you know what I mean? Dogs eat off the
Yeah.
floor constantly, and they're fine. They're
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
fine. Right? They don't give a fuck. They're totally fine.
Technically, we're supposed to get dirty. I mean, as long as you're getting viruses and germs on you,
Well,
your
yeah.
body builds up an immunity. So,
Absolutely,
why
yeah. I
not?
mean, that's true, man. The more, like, especially as children, they've done studies. Children that grow up in a household with pets, like a dog or a cat,
Yeah.
they're more healthy than a child that grows up without a pet,
Yeah.
right? Because they're exposed to all the germs and all that shit
Yes.
from the dog or from the cat, and they're exposed to all that stuff, and their body will naturally build up an immunity system towards it. Therefore, they have a stronger immune system.
A lot of our sickness problems because we're too clean. Literally,
Yeah, that's true.
Hol-
Like
Holyoke
before
must be a
this,
clean water.
yeah, dude. Before this COVID thing, right? You know the squirt, the hand sanitizer. I would see people every 3 seconds. All right,
Yeah.
all fucking day, and I would say to them, I say, "You know how much damage you're doing to yourself by what are you talking about? My hand, I gotta be my clean hands." And I'm like, dude, you're killing all the good bacteria on your hands, which gives you a healthy immune system. You are killing them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's making you more vulnerable to disease.
Yeah. You want to be able to, though, of course, just people understand there is a viral load that will cause
Hey,
issues,
whoa,
but
whoa! Why do you have to mention load? Stop.
yeah, they get a little crazy.
Hey, stop! It's not that type of show, Justin. Calm down.
Get a little excited over the loads.
But no,
But
it's
yeah.
true, man. It's overkill.
Yeah, that's true.
It's too
want
much,
those
you know.
community. We in the 80s, I didn't get involved with that, but they still had chickenpox parties. They were still doing that in the 80s.
Wait,
you know?
chickenpox parties?
Yes, literally bringing your kids who had chickenpox
Oh,
over.
they get it over with, right?
Yeah. They were still
yeah.
doing that when I was a kid, and that was like stuff I remember
Sure.
reading about, from the 60s and 50s.
Because
You
it's one of those things. Well, I mean, once you get it, you're done. You never get it again, right?
Yeah, you can get it. You can get it again.
What's it called? Shingles.
The shingles, yes.
When you're
yes.
older. But
yeah,
it's you're less likely to get it.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that I always remember as a kid, which was disturbing, was the mumps. Now, you never hear anyone getting the mumps these days.
I've never, even when I was a kid.
Never hear it. And I always with the mumps, because
Yeah.
when you're a kid and you get the mumps, it's fine. You get sick, you get it. And from that point on, you're immune. You never get it again. But the dangerous thing with the mumps is that if you don't get the mumps when you're a kid, especially if you're a man and you get the mumps when you're an adult,
Oh God.
do you know what happens?
Yeah, cut your testicles.
You become sterile.
Oh really? Oh wow! I was just joking, but
No,
that's pretty much
you
the
become
same.
sterile. So if you're an adult male and you're like, I don't know, say you're in your 20s and you get mumps, I mean, it's not going to kill you. You get sick for a couple of days, you'll be fine.
Shooting blanks after.
But you'll be sterile. You will not.
Yeah.
You will not be able to father kids. That's why it was back in the day in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It was very important for male children to get the mumps
Jeez.
when they're kids.
Yeah.
Right? You get it out of the way. You're immune. You're good to go. Because if you skip childhood and you don't get the mumps when you're a little kid and you get it when you're in your 20s and your 30s,
Yeah.
if you want to start a family, good luck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Jesus.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
cute. Well, I mean, that's what they say about chicken. If you didn't get chicken pox, but if you get it as an adult, it's far worse overall.
Yeah. Very
Just to have the
painful.
chickenpox.
Very, very painful.
Yeah, that's
Very, very
ridiculous.
painful. All these, and they say now that if you get COVID when you're no, I'm kidding.
Well, they said it was worse when you're 65, and then now it's like if you get it when you're 30,
that's
you
true.
might,
That's
it might
true.
not be a good thing. Seriously.
So what's your take on COVID, dude? Let's talk about it.
I'm still on the freaking fence
Me
after
too.
all these months.
Me too.
Seriously,
You'd think here we are like what, 7 8 months into it, and I'm still
and
on
we
the
still
fence. How is
still
that
don't know.
possible?
Yeah, I was actually gonna make a post that I missed the beginning of quarantine because there was just still uncertainty how everything was playing
Yeah.
out. It was kind of exciting, to that extent, and at the same time, we were reaching new levels of something, whatever that was, the lockdowns and all that. Now
Lockdown.
we're just kind of at a plateau, and we really still don't know what the hell
Yeah.
we're dealing with.
We have no idea.
The only good thing is I could tell the deaths are lower than it was those first few months.
Well,
But
there was on the Mindset podcast today.
yeah,
I played a news clip
hmm
about the quarantine in Nashville,
okay,
where government documents were leaked about concerning the amount of people that died from COVID and that the stuff that was kept away from the public,
oh wow,
and the numbers of deaths are almost insignificant, like
geez, well, it makes
like
sense. I mean, it makes
nothing.
sense when it comes
And the
to
people that died are in their 70s,
yeah,
and they all had underlying conditions.
yeah,
And I think that if you were to dig deeper and look in, they say 200,000 people have died from COVID. Well, if you were to look at each one of those 200,000 people that have died, 99% of them would be
it's down there.
70 and up,
Yeah, it is.
and they would have had a health condition other than COVID.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Right.
Like as I mentioned before, my friend, the one that passed away from COVID, even though she was 30, she did have health issues,
Right.
and
Right.
now they're finding something to do with the thyroid and dealing with COVID, and she had a thyroid
Yeah.
issue, and I wonder if it was we didn't know then what was going on. Now we kind of do. I wonder if that's what kind of heightened her issues
Well,
that she was having.
think about this, dude. I mean, here we are, eight months into this fucking fiasco,
Hmm?
and more people this year have died from the regular flu than COVID, and yet we've shut down all everything.
Well, I'm still
Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, dude. Does not
well. The
make a
problem
lot of
with
sense.
the problem with the flu is I'm still trying to find exact numbers of what it is every year because as far
It's like 60,000 people a year or something like that.
well
Give or take.
they have an estimate from what I found on CDC and the World Health Organization. It's from 30 to 80,000 people.
A
That's the
year.
estimate.
Yeah,
Seriously,
that's nothing.
that's nothing.
That's nothing.
But given what they're saying with COVID, we're already considered past that, according to the numbers of saying
I
100.
mean, 80,000 people a year. I mean, dude, there's like 350 million people living in the United States right now.
Well,
80,000 is a drop in the fucking ocean.
it is,
Nothing.
though it's
Nothing.
it's a city though. It's still a small city that's gone, in that sense.
It was a shitty city to begin with.
Exactly.
Fuck them. You know?
But the same thing, it brings up a lot of questions because, as I mentioned, that I'm still uncertain about the numbers, and we're obviously you're talking about the numbers being somewhat fudged compared.
Yeah,
With
I really do think they're making some shit up. They're fudging the numbers. They're not telling us
Yeah.
the truth.
I'm waiting to find out what the fuck it is for, though. That's
Exactly.
I'm sitting on my
Right.
god.
That's the big question. Is like
I'm like,
what's the
yeah,
what's the end
what?
game here?
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause right now, when you look at everything, it looks like everyone's scattered. To me,
Yeah.
doesn't seem like a plan. It's like, okay, we have this person talking over here about this, and then we got this person over here talking about this, and we do see things being implemented
Right.
ideally about the cashless society.
Yep.
It's happening.
Mhm.
It is happening here in the
Oh,
city.
absolutely. One of the main
Uh,
things that's come out of this is is cashless. So
happening.
I mean, the amount of cash that's used. Don't get me wrong. People are still using cash, but
Yeah.
it's declined big time.
I do my best personally when I make good money to have at least $100 in my wallet cash, somewhere around there. That's what I want when I have cash.
Yeah.
Of course, everything else and sometimes I have cash just do certain things and I use my card for everything else.
Right.
But yeah, I'm one of the people that I'm in between. But a lot of my stuff is cashless. It is cashless.
Yeah, but
You know.
Justin, go ahead and give your Venmo out to the listeners.
Yeah, yeah. And then my PayPal too.
Yeah, I mean, but it's true though, dude. It really is. It's cash is going the way of the dinosaur, big time,
It,
and it's
it is.
escalated significantly due to the COVID deal.
And they're
Right?
talking about this loss of change, and I might agree to the loss of the change, the issue that we're having with change, because I myself, I ain't gonna lie, by the end of the year, I save change, and
Okay.
I can get probably on a good year maybe $80 worth of
Uh
change
huh.
that I just save there, and that's just me. Now
Well, no,
imagine,
I mean, you get home and you empty out your pockets and you throw the change in the jar, and after it mounts up, right? Yeah.
I have like 3 jars, yep, and
Yeah.
hands
Yeah.
down. I end up going back to it at one point during the year, and I'm like, "Holy crap! This is like a tank of gas right
Sure.
now." You know,
Sure.
it
Yeah.
really is. So I could imagine me, and then like a million of me out there that possibly do it, that we have this issue with. But
Right.
it
Right.
also shows with our economy that we can't save money, like
Uh huh.
because that's literally what the point is. Like for me, that's savings. That is literally, even though I will have money I don't use to set aside in my accounts,
Yeah.
that is literally my cash savings right there is in the penny jars. And we're having a problem that we don't have enough coins. So that means you can't really save.
I don't buy it, dude.
Something's up. I ain't gonna lie.
Something's up.
Some
Well,
something's
Evil Earl says in the chat room, he says COVID is one hell of a control mechanism. I think he's right. I
there's
think
hands
he's right.
down.
You know, the virus. There's more than meets the eye, right? It's like Transformers, more than meets the eye, right? It's something. There is something going on here that we're not privy to, right?
Little bump.
Oh, there you
There you
go. Who's
go.
that? Is that a transform?
Bumblebee.
Is that
Bumble.
a GoBot or a Transformer?
No, no, that's a transformer.
Okay,
That's
that's Bumblebee.
Bumblebee Generation One there. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Even though I've had a personal experience, and not just her, I have like I was mentioning. I think once, this was months ago. I think I mentioned on yours. I
Uh
have
huh.
a friend who's gotten it 3 times now. COVID. You
Three
know.
times.
Yes. Yes.
What?
I have to pick up the article, and I'm gonna get her.
Wait. Let me get this
Yes.
straight. This person has had
Yes.
COVID-19
Yes.
3 times.
She's in North Dakota or Minnesota, I forget. But yeah, she's had it 3 times. They did a story on her. Her local news did a
Three
story on her.
times.
Yes. Yes. They cleared her of it, and she got it again. They cleared her of it. She got it again. The same thing happened.
She should play the fucking lottery, dude. Her luck is off the charts. I
They're
mean,
saying,
how is
yeah.
that even possible? You get it 3 times. That's
Well,
insane.
my friend, she got it twice technically. The one who died, she got it twice on the second time. They cleared her, and then she got it, and then she had an infection after the second time, which is what really got her. But yeah, she's one of the people. So I mean, I know people who are dealing with it personally. I know people who have lost family and friends from it. I've lost someone.
Wow.
But besides all that, there's most definitely the way this is being played out. There's most definitely something to question. Though we're going to hear it here, even though things are not to our liking and how it has happened,
Uh huh.
the economy and everything. That itself, besides COVID and the conspiracy, it should still bring questions to people.
Oh yeah.
And why
Yeah.
can't just exist? Why can't businesses exist?
Right.
Why does our economy have to suffer in such a strange way? So there's two flip sides to COVID. There's this, what's the future going to bring, and then what is happening now. And I'll still stand by this as though it's more of a disservice to people and more of an annoyance. We shouldn't really be worrying about the things. COVID is technically bringing out and amplifying already existing issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
It's
our
like
economy.
it's like the flu.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
80,000 people a year die from the flu, right? Which is horrible. It's tragic. Whatever.
yeah.
But the vast majority of the people, not a big deal.
They're
It's
fine.
fine.
They're fine.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
continues. So for the fact that they're shutting everything down for something that's less significant than the flu, it really makes you think, like, well, what's really going on? Why are they really shutting things down? It's very strange.
This whole year
Very
is strange.
Yeah.
The election which we're about to have in
Uh-huh.
almost a month and a half
Yeah, yeah.
is surreal, right?
It
It doesn't
is.
seem real.
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't. Even Trump as a president at the moment doesn't seem real to me. There's just it's weird. This
Yeah.
whole time period right now is very weird. Everything we're dealing with, we're technically in quarantine still, but we're not.
Right.
Like it's like, okay, so are we or aren't we? And they're telling us, not they, the I should say our leaders are telling us. Fauci, which is not necessarily a leader anymore, but him and what Trump has been putting out, they're talking about we're going to be dealing with this till almost next spring. You know,
Fauci.
yeah, and not just him, of course. Some of the other advisors are saying that
COVID has taken this
Trump
year,
even,
just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years.
COVID thing
Look,
until next year. You know,
I have a clip.
ahead.
I have a clip right here of Biden.
Yeah,
It's a crazy clip. You want to see it?
let's do it.
Let me see if I can get it working here. Where's he at? Where you at, Biden?
It is showing up on the YouTube for sure.
Where's he?
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. I mean, you think about it. More lives this year than any other year for the past 100 years. COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. I mean, you think about it. More lives this year than any other year for the past 100 years.
No, the guy, he can't even put a fucking sentence together, dude.
Since the outbreak,
Jesus
it's taken
Christ.
more than 100 years. Look, here's
Since the outbreak's
lives.
taken more than
100 years.
one.
He said more people have died in the last 100 years from COVID. The COVID hasn't been around for a fucking. He's a mental case. It's unbelievable.
It's hilarious. Oh my
Unbelievable.
god. This is our president, people.
I know. Well, a possible
Or-
president. I mean, it's like it's rocking a hard place, dude. You can't win, and regardless of who you vote for this November, whether you vote for Biden or you vote for Trump. We're still fucked.
It's really showing.
There's no way to win. You know, it's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Anyway, Justin, we should start to wrap this up. It's getting late for both of us.
You're right.
It's getting pretty late. Let's see. I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure as always. A lot of fun talking to you. Some great conversation to be had. You're going to be on the Mindset Podcast this Sunday, I hope, so we can continue our discussion. Our discussion then. We can keep yapping and keep yapping. Evil Earl, he says, Jesus Christ, when he saw the Biden clip. I understand it. Yep, I get it.
Yeah,
Thanks for tuning in. For the people that did tune in live, thank you so much. For the people that are going to be tuning in after the fact and seeing the show, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, hit the like. Join the channel. There's going to be a lot more live stream and a lot more content on the show on this channel. If you've enjoyed the conversation tonight, hit that button, give us a thumbs up, give us a fucking bell thing, all that shit, and join the channel. And thank you so much. And we'll be back very soon with some more live streaming. If you want to listen to some podcasts, right down below right here, you see the www.mindsetcentral.com. If you go to that website, you'll go ahead and see all the podcasts that we do, the Mindset Podcast. And Justin, right over here, this guy right here, he's going to be on the Mindset Podcast this coming Sunday, so it'll be more fun then. So that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you all again very soon.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. See you guys. Bye.